Hi, welcome to Education Hub 123. In this video, I'll be teaching you guys about the heart and its transportation systems. Now this is the general basic way to view a heart. Of course, the real heart is more complex and difficult to understand than this simple picture. However, to learn about the heart and its functions, this will be the easiest way. The colors marked in brown or dark red represents deoxygenated blood, which means blood that contains little or no oxygen. The blue represents oxygenated blood, or blood high in oxygen. So let's begin with the transportation of the heart. If we begin all the way on the right side, as you can see, this is the right side represented by the letter R. If you look at the right side, you will see two sort of passageways leading into the right side of the heart. Now the right side of the heart is the pulmonary part of the heart, where it does pulmonary circulation. Pulmonary circulation is the relationship that the heart has with the lungs. So remember, the right side of the heart has two passageways leading into it, specifically the top part, and it's called the pulmonary circulation because it has a relationship with the lungs, as you will see. So this is the superior vena cava, and this is the anterior vena cava. One more time. Superior vena cava, anterior vena cava. Both these passageways contain deoxygenated blood as represented by the brown color. Once the deoxygenated blood enters the heart, as you can see, it enters the top part of the heart. The top part of the hearts on both sides are called atrium, atria, or atrium. The bottom parts are the ventricles. So one more time. The right side, which is the pulmonary side, has the superior vena cava at the top and the anterior at the lower, entering the atria. The deoxygenated atrial blood then enters the ventricle, and soon the ventricle blood will go through the pulmonary artery. The pulmonary artery is the passageway that takes the deoxygenated blood to the lungs. Now the reason why it's called an artery is because all arteries take blood away from the heart. So remember, it's the pulmonary artery. Why? Because it interacts with the lungs. So the deoxygenated blood is being taken to the lungs where it could receive oxygen and get rid of its carbon dioxide. The blood coming from the superior and anterior vena cava are coming from the body. The blood in the right side has been in the body and just returned from the organs. That's why they do not have oxygen. Now if we move to the left side here is much different than the right side, in which it is called the systemic transportation, the systemic circulation. Why? It circulates the blood around the system. The system is the body. So the blood over here returned from the lungs. That's why it's blue. That's why it has oxygen. The lungs gave it oxygen. And the blood here, which is brown, is going to the lungs because it does not have oxygen. So once the blood returns from the lungs, it's going to come through this passageway here, which is the pulmonary vein. Why is it called the pulmonary vein? First of all, it's called pulmonary because it's coming from the lungs. And second of all, it's called vein because all veins bring blood towards the heart. Arteries take blood away. Veins bring blood towards the heart. So one more time. The deoxygenated blood comes from the body through this, through the pulmonary, the lungs bring the body brings deoxygenated blood through the anterior and posterior vena cava. It then enters the right atrium, then the right ventricle, which goes through the pulmonary artery to go to the lungs. It then returns through the pulmonary vein as oxygenated blood. Then it goes into the left atrium, into the left ventricle, and out the aorta. Now the aorta is the passageway that takes the blood all the way to all the tissues and organs in the body. The aorta is an artery. Why? It's taking it away from the heart. So one more time, let's recap again. Pulmonary section, systemic section, pulmonary section, superior vena cava, anterior vena cava, deoxygenated blood, atrium, ventricle, pulmonary artery, comes back as oxygenated in the pulmonary vein, then goes into the left atrium, left ventricle, out the aorta to the body, and returns back in this cycle. And this is the cycle of the heart. Now, I'm just going to tell you basic functions and characteristics of each thing, and I will explain all these different colors in the middle to you in a moment. Actually, let me do that now. This red line streaking right here is a type of valve that separates the ventricles, the atrias from the ventricles. Now this is a valve, so the blood doesn't get mixed. The green here and the green over here are also valves that protect the blood flow. These green here protect the blood from mixing in with the atrium ventricles, and the green going down the middle protects the blood going from the right side where it's deoxygenated to the left side where it is oxygenated. So these are just valves. Okay, now let me describe these terms right here. You already know what an artery is. An artery is a passageway that takes the blood away from the heart. Okay, so we know what that is. Okay, the arteries end up forming into smaller parts called arterioles. That's what this is, arterioles. And the arterioles go into even smaller parts, which are capillaries. These are capillaries, so we know what that is now. Now I'm going to explain to you each thing. The artery is thick. It is a thick tube that pushes the blood very, very strongly away from the heart. Now that's why there's high blood pressure in the artery, because it's thick and it pushes it hard. Then as it gets smaller and smaller and smaller to capillaries, which are actually, believe it or not, they're a cell thick. They're teeny, they're very thin. Capillaries, the blood flow slows down. The blood spreads out, it goes much slower, there's not that much blood pressure, it's quiet, and in the capillaries, that's where the gas exchange occurs. The capillaries, the carbon dioxide leaves the capillaries, and the oxygen enters the capillaries. The capillaries are so thin, as we said, one cell thick, that gas flow can just diffuse in and out. After the capillaries, as you can see, are the venules, which lead up to the veins, and the veins, as we said, take the blood back to the heart. Now the veins are very similar to the capillaries, in which there's not that much blood pressure, and yeah, it's just slow moving, it's not thick, it's not very strong or powerful, but there are valves in the veins, so the blood continues in the same direction. Then after the veins, we have the lymphatic system, which is actually just white blood cells. The lymphatic system is just white blood cells that filter the blood. It literally takes all the bad things that are in the blood before it gets to the heart, because we don't want no diseases going into our heart, do we now? So the white blood cells just filter the blood, takes all the bad stuff out of the blood before the blood actually reaches the heart. So this is everything we need to know about the heart. I hope you enjoyed it. Any questions, please comment or message me, and please subscribe below.